Hello Sunshine Fam, welcome back to another Presidential Highlights video. For those of you that are new, my name is Chloe and I would love it if you could subscribe, like, share, comment, all that stuff. I do this series, if you are new, I've been doing this series since a couple years ago. I kind of fell short of doing them every day or every week, otherwise I'd be done by now. I started with George Washington, and it was inspired by my seeing Hamilton, and I always wanted to know how this country was formed, what every president brought to this country to make it better or great. So continuing along the lines of it, we are on our 39th president today. So we are talking about Jimmy Carter. He was president from 1977 to 1981. And his vice president was Walter Mondale. Now, if you are new and you haven't seen these before, I only talk about the key events that happened in each president's term in office, not their entire lifetime. So here's a picture of Jimmy Carter in his younger days. He recently celebrated a birthday on October 1st, and he turned 98. So he is currently, as of the date of this taping, our oldest living former president. So, interesting trivial fact, right? So, let's get into this. It's very short because not much happened during his time. He was always known as a wishy-washy kind of president, and he was known for being a peanut farmer because he came from Georgia. So, in 1977, on January 20th, Carter was inaugurated. January 21st, draft evaders were pardoned from the Vietnam War. The same day, the Emergency Natural Gas Act went into play. Congress passed it, and it authorizes the president to deregulate it due to the supply shortage. Carter signed the act, and his plans were to present an energy program to Congress. He later established the cabinet-level Department of Energy. February 15th, the Secretary of State travels to the Middle East. That would be Cyrus Vance, and he attempts to reconvene the 1973 Geneva Conference. February 17th, Soviet dissident receives Carter's support. His name was Andrei Sakharov. I always butcher these names. Sakharov, S-A-K-H-A-U-R-O-V, or I'm sorry, H-A-R-O-V, receives a letter from Carter. April 18th, Carter addresses the nation on energy. He calls for an energy conservation program, or he calls the energy conservation program the moral equivalent of war. May 22nd, Carter speaks at Notre Dame, or for those of you that pronounce it a little differently, Notre Dame. He presents a new direction in the foreign policy. It takes the focus off of anti-communism and emphasizes the human rights. I was writing this late last night and I was very tired, so I can't read my writing as usual. June 20th, Carter opposes the B-1 bomber. That would be the production of the strategic bomber. July 19th, Carter meets Israeli Prime Minister. Newly elected Menachem Begin meets in Washington. Now, some of these key events you can take right out of Billy Joel's song, "We Didn't Start the Fire." So if you want to go back and listen to that, all the stuff that I've been talking about lately is, well, most of it is in his song. He does add other things in it too. December 29th, Carter meets Gierek in Warsaw, and that would be the Polish First Secretary. Excuse me. December 31st, Carter visits the Shah of Iran. Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, and the meeting took place in Tehran. I'm sorry, it's not Pahlavi, it's Pahlavi, P-A-H-L-A-V-I. It calls Iran an island of stability in the Middle East. That same day, Carter takes a tour. He travels to India, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, France, and Belgium. In 1978, March 9th, the coal strike was busted. Carter invokes the Taft-Hartley Act to end the strike. So I went back in my notes to review what the Taft-Hartley Act was. And the act prohibits certain union practices and requires the disclosure of certain financial and political activities by the unions. It was a 1947 law, and it was an extension of the 1935 Wagner Act, but I did not look that one up. So if you want, you can go ahead and Google that, or go back in my presidential highlights to, I believe it was Hoover was president in 1935. March 17th, there was a potential Soviet threat. The foreign policy address at the Wake Forest University in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And Carter warned of a Soviet threat, nuclear threat, I believe it was. Doesn't say nuclear. Just some kind of Soviet threat. Now, if you're wondering why I keep saying Soviet or USSR rather than Russia, up until I believe it was the 80s, I haven't gone that far in my research yet, but Russia was considered the USSR, United Soviet Socialist Republic, and they were considered a communist country. So, obviously, in the late 1970s, it was still considered the Soviet Union. June 7th, Carter delivers a graduation speech at Annapolis, and he emphasizes the importance of human rights in foreign policy. September 5th, the mediation at Camp David. It was called the Camp David Accord, and it was signed by the president. There was a meeting between the Prime Minister Menachem Begin of Israel and President Anwar Sadat of Egypt. It called for Israel to gradually leave the Sinai Peninsula and establish diplomatic relations between the two countries. I'm sorry, it would have been signed by those two people. October 15th, Congress passes an energy and employment bills. 18 months after Carter proposed the energy bill, it was passed, and Congress also passes the Humphrey-Hawkins bill, which was the employment bill. I didn't go into great detail research on that, so you can certainly look that up too if you'd like. December 15th, China was granted diplomatic status. 1979. April 5th, Phase 2 of the Energy Plan. It calls for conservation and phase out the price control on oil. April 20th, the president was attacked by a rabbit. Now, I found this quite amusing. You're probably looking at your device going, what? Yeah, that was my thinking too when I read this. The headline came from the Washington Post. So apparently news was not very newsworthy back in 1979 on that day, where they had to report that the president was attacked by a rabbit. Carter makes the claim while he was on a fishing trip in Georgia. I find it very, very funny. June 7th, the MX missile was approved. June 18th, the Strategic Arms Limitation Treaty, also called SALT II, and it was a treaty with the USSR. The Senate never ratified it, but both nations voluntarily complied with the terms. I'm only reporting what I'm getting from this website, and I will let you know what the website is as soon as I'm done with all of these, once I get to the end of Trump, because I'm sure I will get this done before Biden is out of office. July 15th, a crisis of confidence. Carter gives a malaise speech, and he calls on a group of American citizens to see what they feel was important. The main point of the speech was to talk about border issues and a lack of support for public institutions and leaders. July 18th, 5 cabinet members resigned. I went to do some research on this to find out their names because the website did not give me the names, and I couldn't find the names for that particular date. So I don't know the names of the 5 cabinet members that resigned. However, and Silver Star, you're going to love this one. Carter names Hamilton Jordan the chief of staff. So Hamilton Jordan, he was chosen for the chief of staff job. Stop laughing, Silver Star. So September 14th, approval ratings were very low. The Washington Post poll gives the lowest approval rating of any president in 30 years. September 15th, Carter collapses in a 10K run. The press depicts the event as representative of the strength of the presidency. October 17th, Department of Education was established. Carter signs it and appoints Shirley Huffstedler as the secretary. So we've been talking about the Department of Education in the news recently because of all the student loan forgiveness programs that are out there, and I'm part of that too. So November 4th, Americans were taken hostage in Tehran. Now this is the one thing I do remember about Carter's presidency. May not have paid attention to politics when I was in elementary school, but I did pay attention, or junior high, I guess it would be. Oh gosh, did I just date myself? Iranians take 52 U.S. diplomats and citizens hostage for 444 days, starting on November 4th. They were held in the American embassy. Now, there was a movie put out about this called Argo. If you've never heard of it, you should probably watch it to get more of a detail of this story. Because the movie Argo tells the whole story. It stars Ben Affleck. The reason was because of a protest of the U.S. harboring the Shah Pahlavi, who later died. I do remember that, though. December 4th, Carter announces his candidacy, and he was looking for re-election. 1980, January 3rd, Table SALT, S-A-L-T. After the invasion of Afghanistan by the Russians, Carter asks the Senate to table the consideration of SALT II. He places an embargo of grain sale to the Soviet Union and possibly boycotting the Summer Olympics in Moscow. January 23rd was the Carter Doctrine. Yeah, there's a lot of these in this video, I know. There were threats to the Persian Gulf are viewed as an assault of the vital interests of the U.S. Now, for those of you that are thinking, oh, was this Desert Storm? No, Desert Storm actually happened in 91, so we're still in, we're in 1980 now, so this is way before Desert Storm. February 14th, anti-inflation program. It includes a proposal for a balanced budget for the fiscal year of 1981. And we're almost done. Like I said, not much happened during his presidency. April 17th, the economy was in a recession. Inflation hits 10% and the interest rates climb to 18%. April 22nd, the Summer Olympic boycott. The USOC, or the United States, or the United States Olympic Committee votes to boycott the Summer Olympics in Moscow due to the Soviets being in Afghanistan. Again, another reference to we didn't start the fire. April 25th, Desert One failure. Now, that's not Desert Storm, Desert One. And it was a mission to rescue the hostages. Several U.S. troops were killed, and it failed miserably. June 1st, approval low. I can't read my own writing, I'm sorry. Carter's rating was the lowest since 1945. And I looked back, and 1945 was when FDR passed away, and Truman took over as president for FDR, after FDR's passing. So I'm guessing they were talking about Truman having a low approval rating. July 25th, limiting nuclear war. It signs the Presidential Directive 59, which advocates the strategy for fighting a limited nuclear war. Isn't it funny how in the last few videos I've done, including this one, a lot of the stuff that I report from years ago we're still talking about today. I find that interesting. November 4th, Reagan wins the election. He wins 489 to 49 electoral votes. He was an actor in the 50s. So if you remember Back to the Future, if you ever saw that movie, they do make mention that Reagan was president. 1981, January 20th, Reagan was inaugurated and Carter leaves Washington, D.C. So, I hope you have enjoyed these presidential highlight videos. I hope to try to make these more regular. I know I haven't done one. I think it's been a month or two since I've done my last one, or at least several weeks. And so I hope to try to keep up on these a little bit more so I can finish them up. I also hope to get back into my trip down memory lane videos. For those of you that are new, I do several different series right now. Trip down memory lane is one of them. Adventures with Chloe is another one. I haven't really made a new one of those, but I do have some older ones that I can maybe upload. I think the one from Mall of America I still have to do. So I'll be looking at doing that as well. So hopefully I can upload videos a little bit more frequently. So, and maybe do some collab videos with the family. I do want to give a shout out to John, who always comments on my videos. I did notice a few other people that have been commenting on older videos. I don't know if they're keeping up with me on these videos or not. I did not write down their names. I apologize. I will try to do that and give you a shout out in the next video. William, I know I did talk to you today. Thank you for watching. I know you haven't been commenting, but I do thank you for watching my videos. And Danny Diamond, if you're out there, please hit us up and leave a comment below, whatever. Danny Sierra Lynn, I miss you too. I miss hearing from you. So please comment and let me know that you're still okay. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and end this with my usual outro. So thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting me for the last 8 years that I've been doing YouTube, and I hope to continue this on. So with that, I'm going to say I hope you have a sunny day, and we'll see you guys on the next one.